Hey guys, so do you ever watch a guitar gear review and you wonder whether the person reviewing the piece of gear is actually being sponsored or paid to promote the particular piece of gear that they're reviewing? I know I do, and there's been a piece of gear that I've seen quite a lot on YouTube recently, and it's kind of piqued my interest because I think it's something that would appeal to me in a functional sense, and if it actually lives up to the promises that a lot of these people are promoting, then it could be something of interest to you as well. So just a little bit of a backstory. So this little pedal I've got here is called a MVave, made by a company called MVave or M-Vave, something like that. But essentially what it is a 3-button multi-effects, I guess you would call it. But it's capable of running amp simulations as well as cabinets, and it has a basic palette of effects. So you've got delay, you've got some modulation there, and you've got some reverb. So it's quite a handy little unit to just have in your guitar case, and it's been living in my guitar case for about 2 years just as a backup. If my main guitar rig ever goes down, then I can sort of call on this, and theoretically I could get through a gig just utilizing the sounds that I've got programmed. So I've essentially got a clean, a distorted tone, and then a lead tone if I ever needed to fall back on it. So the reason I bring this up is because the company that manufactures these, and they're available, by the way, for less than about 50 bucks Australian on Amazon and Alibaba and all that sort of stuff. But this is the piece of gear that I actually wanted to talk about today. It's called a Tank G. Now, it's made by the same company, I'm fairly sure of. But I've seen this being promoted by a lot of guitar channels recently, and it promises pretty good things. I mean, it's got a fairly good array of effects, guitar amps, cabinets, and a few different features. So I haven't actually even taken this out and tried it out yet. So the idea of this particular video is to basically unbox it and run it through exactly as if you were to get it at home, and let's see what we can actually do with it. So I guess what I want to do is break it down into a couple of different sections, and if this video gets too long, then potentially I'll string it out over 2 or 3 different videos. But essentially, let's just pop the guitar down for a sec. Let's pop it here. And let's see what we have here first of all. So again, I haven't even heard this thing yet. We're going to be hearing it together, and I just bought this on Amazon. It was around about $100 Australian, and essentially, let's have a look what we've got here. So we've got the pedal in the bag here, and we've got looks like a USB-C, and basically a TRS phono cable there, which I'm not exactly sure what would be used for yet, but let's just take it out of the bag here. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we've got a power switch on the top here, and I'm just firing it up now. I'm not sure whether you can see what's going on. Okay, so we've got some really cool looking LEDs and lights here. We've got this tab in the middle, it's got a little plastic, and let's pull that off. There we go. Alrighty. So what have we got? Alright. Now, so on the top panel here, we've got an input and an output. But the thing I really like about this is it's got an XLR connection here. So basically, you can see that there, which is great. From a backup perspective, if you were to use this as a backup solution, then if you were running, say, a Helix or a Quad Cortex effects, and you're already running an XLR out, if your pedal happened to not work for whatever reason, you could theoretically just plug this straight into the XLR, and you're up and running in no time. Basically, we've got four different pedals here, and from my understanding, you can configure them to either bank up and down, or you can have them select different presets or turn certain effects on and off. It's labeled reverb, delay, modulation, and amp, and then you've got your different buttons up the top here. So without talking too much more, what I want to do is basically plug it into my DAW. I'm going to go directly to there, and we will see firsthand together what it actually sounds like. Now, one thing I will mention is that It does have a Bluetooth connection, which also has an app that you can actually program from either an iOS phone device or directly on the computer. So before we actually get to the software, what I want to do is plug it in and run it straight into the door, basically straight into my interface, and we'll have a listen to see what it sounds like straight off, run through a couple of presets and see what we've got happening directly from the device. Okay, so give me a moment, I'm going to plug it in and we'll see how we go. Okay, so I'm all plugged in. I'm on preset A or 1. In fact, it says number 2 here, so I'm actually going to just bank down by pressing the 2 buttons on the left together. Okay, so now selecting number 1. Okay. Okay, that's not too bad actually. For a clean, I haven't touched anything, and that's the first preset off the pedal. So far so good. Let's go to number 2 in this bank. Okay, that's a little bit on the boxy sound. I'm not too crazy about that sound. Let's see if we can just turn the reverb down a little bit. Okay, so there must be some sort of edit mode, because turning the knobs on the top here are not having any effect. So we'll get to that shortly, but let's go through a couple more presets first. Okay, number 3. So a very distorted tone. It's not that impressive really. Sounds like a really cheap distortion pedal. Okay, that needs some work. Let's go to number 4. Again, lead channel, it's not that nice sounding. So preset 1 was completely usable in the clean, and there's quite a lot of noise coming off this preset here. There is a noise gate, by the way, so it's just not turned on at the moment, but we'll get to that shortly. So let me just go to the next bank. We'll just go through a couple more sounds, and then we'll look at what we can do in terms of actually editing some sounds. So now I'm in the first preset of bank 2. So what happens if I press the button again? Okay, so this is my completely dry sound. So basically pressing the pedal a second time just turns the whole preset off. So you're hearing my guitar straight into the door interface. And this is now with the preset engaged. So clean sound with a bit of chorus. Next preset. It's got a really long decay reverb on it. It's quite a nice sounding reverb. Again, in a live context, it'd be completely usable. Preset number 3 in bank 2. Horrible. Let's go to number 4. Oh, that's even worse. So that Okay, so my first impressions are some of the cleans sound completely usable. The distorted and overdriven tones are pretty horrible so far. So let's see what we can do to actually program this. Let's utilize the onboard capabilities first. I'm just going to spend a moment or two just to figure out how to actually get into edit mode, and then we'll discuss what we can do to actually hopefully get some of these sounds a little bit more usable. Okay, so I've gone back to bank 1 and I'm in preset number 3, and this is the distorted tone we've got. Okay, it's pretty ordinary. Let's see how we go about actually programming this and changing some of the sounds. So from what I understand, if I just quickly press button 2 and 3, now this is flashing and it's actually now in edit mode. So basically from here I should be able to turn any of the knobs and they will have some sort of effect. So let's have a listen to changing the type for starters. So I've just wound the... Okay, so that's changing the preamp. This second knob here, the orange one, is the IR, or the impulse response. So let's toggle through those and see if we can find something a little bit more usable. So I'm in the first preset now. Might just turn the reverb decay down because it's sort of putting me off a little bit in terms of trying to really isolate the amp sound. So. Okay, the second last one. Okay, it's not awesome, but it's certainly something you could use to get yourself through a gig. Okay, so look, my first impressions are that the clean sounds okay. The distortions, I think they would probably benefit from some third-party impulse responses. So what I might do now is switch over to the software. We'll have a quick look at that, and then we'll look at how we can import some third-party impulse responses and see if we can get this to a point where, you know, something that we could truly use live. Because at the moment, I feel like, you know, if I was to use this live straight out of the box, it would certainly be a sacrifice in terms of sound quality. Functionally, I think it's actually a great unit. Like, it's very easy to use from the front interface. Just some of the sounds I feel are a little bit sort of not quite there. So yeah, I'll be back in a moment. We'll switch over to the software and we'll see what we can do from there. Okay. Okay, so I've connected the Tank G straight to my computer using a USB-C cable, and I've just got the software here. Let's double click on it and open. If it's connected, it should find it. So there you go, it's found the device here, and if I click on that, now it opens basically a blank preset. So this is what I've got. Okay, sounds pretty horrible, right? So let's import some third-party cabinet responses, and let's see what we can do to make this sound a little bit better. Okay, so just looking at this, looks like we can open a cabinet impulse response. Now my understanding is that when you put a third-party cabinet response on, it'll overwrite the currently selected slots. So here you can see quite a few different third-party cabinets that I've purchased. I've got some Own Hammer ones. I've got the Redwires Big Box, which has some Tweeds, a few Marshalls there, some Vox AC30s, and I've also bought the York Audio Marshall 4x12 T75. So let's maybe install 3 different Marshall 4x12s, and we can A/B between the 3 of them. Okay, so let's start with, say, the York Audio. Here we go. And I'm not exactly sure what resolution the Tank G takes, but let's just go with a 48 kilohertz one. I'm just going natural phase singles. And let's try a Royer 121. So let's go here and we open. Okay, so now, okay, so I haven't actually selected it yet, so you're still hearing the old cabinet. Now if I click select, okay, so there's nothing there because I haven't got the impulse response level up. So let's just bring that to about halfway. Okay, so that's already a lot better than it was. So what I want to do is now save this IR data to the device. If I don't save it to the device, it'll be lost when I disconnect. So let's save it to the device, and you can see that it says save successfully. Now what I want to do is I want to go to IR slot number 2. So we'll go here, and I'm going to bring another one in, and also make sure you change it here, otherwise it'll overwrite the first one again. Okay, so here's the second slot, and again it's pretty ordinary. So let's open a new cabinet. So let's go with one of the Marshall 1960A G12Ms, and we'll go with a, let's see, a Cone 6-inch. This is also a Royer 121. Okay, so let's save that IR data to the device. Successfully saved, and we'll go 6. Let's hear the difference between the 3 different cabinets. Okay, so that's chalk and cheese compared to the onboard impulse responses. So basically adding third-party impulse responses is probably what you need to do to make this usable. Now that's just by changing the impulse responses. That I haven't done really too much with the actual amp itself. So let's maybe tweak the amp a little bit and see if we can make it even better. Okay, so let's select that third one, which is the Own Hammer. Now, what have we got here? So let's try a different amp type. That's pretty good, like, honestly. So with that same cabinet response, I could then change the actual amp to different, I guess, gain structures. Something a little bit more crunchy. Maybe go with a little bit of reverb. Okay, so what's my final verdict? Well, look, the Tank G, as it is with the onboard cabinet impulse responses, is not something that I would personally use live, but the fact that you can load your own third-party cabinet responses makes it very functional indeed. And you know, you don't have to buy cabinet responses. There's plenty of freely available cabinet responses online if you do a bit of a search. But that's what really makes this thing shine, is the fact that you can not only load your impulses, but you've got up to 36 different presets. So you could literally have a whole gig's worth of presets loaded on here. The fact that it runs on a battery, rechargeable battery, I haven't tried it to see how long I would get out of it, but from what I understand, you'd easily get a whole gig's charge out of a single battery. The XLR output, again, another pro feature which is really handy in terms of connecting directly to a full range speaker or straight to the mixing desk. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do from here is maybe program some sounds that I would potentially use in a live situation, and just see how far I can take it, see if it's something that would potentially get me through a whole gig if I had to. So I hope you found this video a little bit insightful. But yeah, so that's the M-Vave Tank G.